everybody. It's nice to meet you. So welcome to tonight's live streaming event, Reboot Again. I'm MKYU. This show has been prepared to introduce my book, Reboot, to readers all around the world. This is my first English book, and tonight I'll be giving my first English lecture about Reboot. I've been a motivational speaker for the past 30 years in Korea. I've written over 20 books. I founded an online school called MKYU, which means MK is my name, Y referring you, and U meaning university. I also run a nonprofit for single mothers. I'm a TV show host and a YouTuber. But last year, I nearly lost everything. I almost had to let go of all 20 employees at my company. But despite the pandemic, not only did I manage to keep all 20 employees, my company has grown. Now we have more than 100 employees. This is my reboot story. I wrote a book about it in Korea last year, but it was a bestseller in Korea. But so many people wanted to read Reboot in English. So they wanted to share this book to their family and friends abroad. I'd like to share that story with you today. But before I get into that, I'd like to say you've done a great job so far. The fact that we've been fighting with a highly contagious virus for over a year and we are still alive is the greatest thing ever. We deserve to be proud. However, it's not enough to just survive. Now is the time to thrive. Let me take you back to when this all started for me. You know, I still remember the date, January 22nd, 2020. I gave what turned out to be my last speech of the year. I never thought it would be my last, but it was. The manager at the company said, MK, the situation will probably be over in a month or two. So in the meantime, think of it as a long vacation and rest well. Yes, that's what I did. I read a lot of books, spent quality time with my daughter, and of course, I watched Netflix every day. Months passed like that. However, over time, the situation became very serious. A social distancing order was issued. I was doomed. My job revolved around the speaking to a live audience. But I couldn't anymore. I was terrified of not being able to give lectures and even more afraid of not being able to make money. For the first time, the professional speaking industry came to a halt so completely that there was no restart in sight. My accountant said, "Boss, we're going to be in serious trouble if this continues. We can't cover all the expenses." So one morning, I blurted out, "Please help me this one time to retain them all. Please grant my wish just once so that I don't have to let any of my employees go." I had to do something, anything, to find a way out of this crisis and keep all my employees. I never experienced anything like this in my 57 years of life. It was a sink or swim. So I chose to swim. First, I read everything from newspapers to consulting firm reports to books to find any small clues for my company's survival. My brain and body became busier than ever. I spent all my time trying to find clues. My entire day was devoted to writing down ideas and thinking about solutions. It was my desperate struggle to find ways to survive. Whenever I came up with a good idea, I wrote it down in my notebook, which I called this Corona Solution Notebook. I ended up filling 3 notebooks full of ideas, scenarios, and solutions to get out of this COVID mess. Another month passed, still no solutions. But I noticed something. A lot of businesses were struggling financially, but some companies were prospering. They were doing even better than before the pandemic. Not everybody seemed to be having a hard time. So I continued to spend all my time reading papers and reports by experts to figure out the reason for this. So one day, I was reading a newspaper and a picture jumped out at me. It was a picture of a college student holding up a protest sign. He wanted a 50% refund for his college tuition because all classes had moved online. No classroom, no professor, only Zoom classes. And it hit me, if students were only asking for a 50% refund, that meant they were still willing to pay the rest for online classes. They didn't ask for a full refund. They only asked for 50%. This one picture gave me the answer that I've been searching for. Before the pandemic, I could only make money through in-person lectures and offline classes. If for some reason I couldn't give an in-person lecture, I offered the video recordings instead, then companies weren't willing to pay for them back then. But now, the situation was different. They didn't have to be free anymore. This was something that I've been dreaming of all my life. I no longer need to physically travel to give speeches. So I decided to move all my content online. I told my employees, all right, from now on, we are no longer just a content company, okay? We'll become a digital company. They were shocked. They said, oh, MK, are you okay? Are you serious? They thought I lost my mind. I said, okay, life after coronavirus will be a completely different. This new whole world. The formula for living and making money will be completely new. I've identified 4 formulas that'll bring our company back to life. To make it happen, we must change everything, okay? We must completely reset the way we operate with our businesses. We need to reboot. Over the next few months, my company charged ahead with rebooting all our business lines. We had to quickly make the jump, and we had to adjust ourselves to survive and make money. I even started studying coding to understand the digital world. And fortunately, my company continued to function. We moved everything online. My prayers were answered. Not only did I let go of any of my employees' go, but I was able to grow my business and hire new employees each month. It's all because I found a different way to connect to the new world. Before I rebooted, MKYU had only 5,000 students. Today, we have over 60,000. My company went from 20 employees to 100 right now. So, how can we reboot? We all need to know a few things about the pandemic. First, the pandemic is not a crisis, it's a chaos. What do I mean? When the pandemic started, I could no longer give speeches. It seemed like a crisis, right? But as soon as I thought of it as a state of chaos, I accepted the situation and I started to look for clues to survive. I found my clue in the forum of of the student holding up the protest sign. Had it not been for that picture, I wouldn't have moved online. I might have lost my company. COVID happened so suddenly that has been hard to see the positive in it. But you have to try to think of it as a state of chaos, not a crisis. Within chaos lies a new order. You can lead to new opportunities. We all need to find clues for our own survival. They are everywhere, just waiting to be found. You just need to change your mindset first. Think of the pandemic as a state of chaos, not a crisis. Then you can find your clues to survive and make your own opportunities in this new world. The second thing you have to know is that money is moving to the next world. And many people complain that the world is moving online too fast. But who's driving this change? You and I are. We are choosing to shop online and take online classes. Before the pandemic, our industry was combined with analog and digital systems. But we were forced online during the pandemic. Now that we've experienced the comfort of learning and working online, we know that we can't live without this technology. Many companies have already shifted to the post-COVID era. When corporations make this kind of big move, they take their money and all kinds of resources with them. If you can't see money around you, it's not gone. It has moved somewhere else. Money doesn't drain in itself. It simply moves from one place to another. Right after the pandemic, when I couldn't give speeches anymore, I kept thinking, wow, where has my money gone? Okay? Where has my money moved to? I couldn't see it. At the time, I didn't realize the money had moved to the digitalized world. The world is prospering in the next era. That is where the money is. You must be part of it. I want you to realize this before it's too late. The third thing you must know is that you can either stay behind or move forward. This year is the most important year ever. My publisher in the US, Mikey, told me that so many people have no idea about the future. Yes, I agree. Yes. The majority of the people are not interested. Some people don't want change. But everything is changing, even if we are not. After the pandemic hit, I was so frustrated and afraid. For the first 2 months, I kept thinking, what if I can't go back to give lectures? Every day, I kept wondering how I could go back to the pre-coronavirus days. I was afraid of not being able to give speeches anymore. It was a nightmare. But one day, I realized, all right, no matter how tightly I hang on to the past, I cannot go back. So I decided to, like this. Instead, I change it, I can't, to I won't. I want to go back to lectures, but you know what? I will survive in a different way. So, if you're frustrated and afraid, you have to declare with confidence. It's not that I can't, it's that I won't. And I will overcome this crisis. So those were the 3 things you must know about the pandemic. So how can you get back up on your feet again? How do you reboot your life and your work? The first formula is untact, which means online contact. The majority of what we used to do in our daily lives is now untact. There are various platforms you can connect with. Most of them are free. So let's say if you are a teacher, you must learn how to use Zoom and Google Meet and many other tools. If you are a seller, then you must know about how to use Amazon, Shopify, and Facebook. You must go ahead even if you are uncertain about the future. Winning and losing depends on who starts first and how fast. The second formula is digital transformation. This will allow you to study and money online. The first thing I did after moving to the digital world was to open a special courses at MKYU called Digital Transformation to help my students move to the digital world. The response was overwhelming. More than 3,000 people took the class. Most of them were women in their 30s to 60s. Can you believe this? Many students make the digital transformation and apply what they learned. Most of my income is now made online, not offline. I have a YouTube channel with more than 1.4 million subscribers. My Instagram account has over 200,000 followers. And then there's my online university, MKYU. Up until last year, I used to only give offline lectures. Things are changing. So you should try to build your own business, online business, and become a digital transformer. The third formula is to become an independent worker. Once you make the digital transformation, you can actually meet people more easily and become part of a larger market. There are no borders in the digital world. The digital world is ideal for the independent worker. In my case, thanks to the new way of interviewing online, I had more chances to talk to some amazing people like Jared Diamond, Adam Grant, and Jim Rogers, to name a few. Before the pandemic, I had to consider many things, the schedule and long-distance flight, but now, with just a few clicks and emails, I can connect with people all around the world. Had it not been for the pandemic, I might not have met these wonderful people. It's like a blessing in disguise. New technologies and digital tools are being introduced every day. If you make the digital transformation and apply what you learn as an independent worker, endless opportunities will knock at your door. The first formula is safety. The three reboot formulas, untact, digital transformation, and becoming an independent worker must be combined with safety. Now, safety is the priority for many companies and individual businesses. If you make the product or business model, you must be safety sensitive. Because if you don't care about the safety, then your consumers won't support you. So now that you know about the 4 reboot formulas, then it's time to reboot yourself by writing your reboot scenario. A reboot scenario is a prediction about what's going to happen in your life in the near future. Many big companies do this every year. They spend a lot of money hiring consulting firms to do this. But we don't have that much of money, so we have to do this by our own. We also need to predict what will happen in our individual lives. Okay, we strongly I really strongly recommend you write your own reboot scenario. First, figure out what is changing and what is not changing in the world. Second, write a synopsis for your own story. Apply your goal to the 4 reboot formulas. Lastly, make to-do list for execution. Then, just do it right now. Don't wait until you are 100% ready. We cannot be 100% certain about anything. So if you are 10% ready, then you are ready enough just to start. You must not fall behind. I really hope. Especially after listening to my talk today, okay? Everyone has experienced one or two crises in their lives. I've experienced many. I've been broke. I lost my jobs and my career. The COVID pandemic has been like no other crisis. The virus and the digital technology are daunting for us. It's natural to be afraid, but I believe every crisis contains a message, a question that needs to be answered. For me, each crisis was life's way making me search for answers. Every time, the process of researching made me a better person. It definitely wasn't easy, but it was worth it. The pandemic is asking us, how can you survive in this situation? If we find a way out of this crisis, we'll come out a better person, living a better life. We'll not only survive, we'll thrive. So now is the time to end the pause and start to reboot. Thank you very much.